Hey everyone, it's Cassie. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have the Simon Says Stamp July 2020 card kit, which is called Home Sweet Home. It is sold out, but I will do my best to have things linked down below. Okay, so let's take a quick look at what this kit comes with. It always comes packaged in the little brown bag, which is awesome. You're going to get your candy, of course. You're also going to get a coupon code, which is fabulous. And then it comes with a speckled ink distress ink in the mini cube, which I'm thrilled about. We also have this Cosmic Shimmer in Gilded Avocado. It's Opal Blaze Polish. I don't really know about those, but we'll get into it a little bit. We also have the CD's Design Postage dies. There's 3 of them. And then we have lots of envelopes. We have a mini white, soft navy, cotton candy, 2 metallic silver, and a white. So lots of envelopes. Love that. Then we have this paper. This paper is the Waffle Flower pattern paper. It measures 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, so it's awesome. Like these ones you can cut in half and make a whole card out of. They're not double-sided, but the colors are really pretty. They're very different. These are colors I wouldn't typically put together, but now that I see them like this, I really like them. So there's a lot of good patterns here, and we'll definitely use some of it. But yeah, and I'll even show you how to make some cards just out of the paper themselves without any of the stamps. And then the stamp set is called Home Sweet Home. This is a good one, lots of great sentiments, and you've got this really cute little scene that you can build and a few other little additives. We have the idea sheet, and then we have some cardstock in the colors 80 pound Nina White. We have Cotton Candy, Smoke, and Soft Navy. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our first card. I have some of that Nina cardstock that came in the kit, and I've cut it down just to be a small panel. I am inking up the little paper airplane in here about 10 times using Memento Tuxedo black ink. I thought maybe I would just use 7, but I thought, well, if I've already started a row, I might as well just complete it. I end up using every one of those little paper airplanes for my card. I'm going to use a T3 marker. This is super simple Copic coloring. So I have my darker shade, and then I have my T1 that I'm just putting just on a couple of those edges. And I'm going to do the same thing, obviously, for all of those paper airplanes. You could do different colors. That would be kind of fun, but I just went with this. And now I'm going to fussy cut them out, but believe me when I say that this is very simple. These are very straight lines, and I am not leaving a little white border like I typically do. I'm cutting right on the edge of that line, just to keep some of that black there, but to bring back more of that black, because this side will be white, I am going to bring in a Memento marker, and I'll just color those edges. This is nothing new, that a lot of folks do it, and it's just an easy way to make sure that you have that nice black line all around your paper airplanes. And I am going to do that for all 10. So there they are. My card base is going to be some of that navy cardstock that came in the kit. This was cut down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches and scored at 4.25 inches. And I am prepping the bottom of this because I plan to do some embossing. I used a magic powder bag to start, and that's just to keep powder from sticking to places I don't want it to stick. I'm going to ink up my stamp with some VersaMark ink, which is just a clear sticky ink, and then I'll stamp that down. And I will cover that with some Brutus Monroe Alabaster embossing powder. And don't worry about that film from the magic powder bag, that will wipe away. You will possibly get some warping with cardstock like this when you heat emboss, but the best way to combat that would be to make sure that your heat gun is super hot before you bring it to your paper. You may still get a little bit of warping, and if you do, you can run that flat through your die cutting machine, and that should kind of take care of that. I'm going to do this on the inside as well. We'll stamp another sentiment because I got to do the insides, right? And we'll just go through the exact same process that we did earlier. Now I'll wipe away the film with a microfiber cloth. So that was not a concern. And now I've kind of got my paper airplanes placed. They ended up being a little too heavy for my jewel picker, so I'll just pick them up with my fumbly little fingers, and then we'll stick those down. Yes, they are sticking off of the edge. I did that on purpose because I do like the idea that it seems like the paper airplanes are, it's a continuous scene. It gives the illusion that there's a lot of movement outside of the card, which I love. And they're obviously not going to be totally straight and even. I don't want them to be, but you could do that, and you could do it with a lot less. But I ended up putting 7 on the outside, and then I am going to put 3 of them on the inside. Super fun. This is a very easy card, easy to replicate, and I can imagine sending this one to lots of our friends because we don't live by any of them. We've only lived here for a year, so definitely we have some friends here, but we've lived lots of places, so we have lots of friends all over the place. I'll trim off all the excess, and then we're going to do a little bit of embellishing. I am using some Doodlebug sprinkles. These are hearts. I don't even know if these are still available. I've had these for forever. And I put the one down, and I just thought it wasn't enough, and I may have gone overboard. I don't know, but I'm happy with how it turned out. So I put down 3 of them, and I like this card. And that's going to finish off our first card. So a very easy, quick one. Before we really get into card number 2, I did want to show you that I just Copic colored these off screen, very simple colors. If you want, try and take a screenshot if you like what I did or you like the colors, because I tried to match those pretty well to the paper, and so those are the Copics I used. This was very simple Copic coloring. In some instances, only 1 color instead of like a 2-color blend, but a lot of times there was 2-color blend. So now with that bottom set of houses, I'm just going to cut those out. I'm going to fussy cut around them, leaving a small white border around all of them. And then that top one I'm going to use for something else. So, but you notice here on this stamp, the line wasn't completely, like, it wasn't there, honestly. I don't know if you can see that. Check your stamp. Maybe yours is the same. It's an easy fix. Just draw it in. And I'm using a Memento marker, but if you wanted to do that before you Copic colored, you might want to use like a Copic multi-liner. I'm going to take one of the pieces of paper and I'm going to trim that down just to be 3 inches, because I'm going to use this for a slimline card. So my base was cut down to 7 inches by 8.5 inches, and I scored it at 3.5. So with it closed, it's 3.5 by 8.5 inches. So that is how my slimline worked. That's how I typically make mine, but there really isn't a set measurement. So you just check your envelopes, because you want to make sure your card's going to fit in your envelope. For my sentiment, I'm just going to ink that up with some Memento Tuxedo black ink and try to stamp that on the bottom. I'm trying to use my glass mat to center it for starters, and then, trying to go straight, and you'll see that it's a struggle. The struggle is real. I stamp it and it's not even straight. It's fairly centered, but it's certainly not straight. All right, so I will glue down the pattern paper to my card base, and I'm going to put that at the very top of the card base. That bottom part just wasn't necessary because that's going to be covered by the houses and that little strip of white. And we're going to cover that back with foam tape. I'm pretty liberal with the foam tape back there. I put it behind some of the houses as well. And then before I put that on, I'm going to stamp on the inside. You want to make sure you're stamping before you add any dimension if you plan to stamp on the inside. So you see this is my big mama of a Misty. This is the scrapbook Misty, I believe. My kids got it for me for my birthday, and I love it for this reason. I actually don't like to have my door going away from me. I like it to go either side, and so this just allows me to do this in these bigger insides. I did ink that up with some Piggyback ink by Simon Hurley. Love his inks. And then the sentiment was just stamped with the Memento Tuxedo black ink. And then our inside's all done. I'll peel off all of the release paper on the back of my little scene of houses, and then we're going to ever so gingerly try to attach this down to the front straight without getting it cockeyed, because this is a one-shot deal usually as far as foam tape goes, which is why I typically use liquid glue when I'm adhering things down, because I like to have some wiggle room. I will grab in those doodle sprinkles one more time, Doodlebug sprinkles, and I'll just put 1 heart in the upper left-hand corner. That's it. And that's going to finish off this fun little simple slimline card. I like how this one turned out so much. Card number 3 is actually another simple one, and I actually love how this set really does lend to some simple cards. I mean, you could really doll them up, as you saw the design team for Simon Says Stamp do, but I like that this is simple, crank them out kind of cards that I can make, because oftentimes I need things like this pretty quickly, and so I love the design of this. You could really go crazy, or you could keep it simple, which is what I did here. I stamped out the little plane, and then I've got the Thinking of You banner behind it. I'm going to trim down some of the pattern paper. This is going to be 4 inches. And then this one is going to be 4 inches as well, but I'm going to trim this down to be about 2 inches. So it'll be 4 by 2. The other one was 4 inches by 5.5. So when I put that on the card base, which is some of that pink or cotton candy cardstock, it's actually going to leave a little bit of a border on the left and right hand side. I'll do very simple Copic coloring here on my plane. It's just a one color blend, which really isn't a blend then, I guess. It's just one color. And then I will bring in some T3 for the wheel and the propeller. And then I'll even bring in some T1 just for those little inside pieces. And then also just to do a little bit of shadowing around the banner. So that's easy enough. And then I'm going to fussy cut that out, just leaving a little white border around that. So very, very easy. Next, we'll adhere our little cloud panel to the other patterned paper, just leaving it more towards the upper part of the card. And then we'll put some foam tape behind our plane and behind the banner, peel off the release paper, and just put that down. That's really going to finish our scene. But I thought about putting some more of those Doodlebug sprinkles, and I just didn't go, so I decided against that. And once again, we'll bring in our little town for the bottom part of our inside of the card, and I inked that up with the robin or speckled egg ink, so that new ink, and I think that looks pretty good. It's not normally formulated, at least the distress inks themselves aren't formulated for stamping, but it worked fine because it's just the inside of the card. It worked well enough, so I was happy with it. And then I'll decide where my sentiment's going to go, and once again I'll ink that up with some Memento Tuxedo black ink. Very easy on the inside as well. I love how that town could just go from one side to the other. It's just perfect. And then we'll use that same liquid glue to adhere down our panel to our card base. And like I said, there'll be a little pink border on the left and right hand side. And then that's going to finish off card number 3. Again, super, super simple. Love it. For card number 4, we're actually going to make 3 little cards. These cards are going to measure 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and they are not going to be open cards. They're just going to be like a little piece of paper, basically. And I'll tell you why later. So I'm taking the postage die. This is the CD Designs postage die that came in the kit. There's 3 of them. And I'm going to run that through as many times to get 3 or 4, I guess in this case, postage stamps out of it, out of that piece that I had colored earlier. I taped down my little piece of cardstock that was cut out of the gray cardstock, and I'm using the Clouds for Days stencil by Simon Says Stamp, and I am just inking up some of that. It's the Opal Blaze Polish Cosmic Shimmer in Gilded Avocado, and I wasn't even sure exactly how to use this stuff, but I used a mini ink blending tool and a sponge, and I sponged it across this background, and it doesn't look like a lot right there. It's very, very subtle, but holding it in the light, it is super, super shimmery. So I'm sure there's a lot more that you can do with this. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to really play around with it, but it's kind of fun stuff. And so I'll just put that all over the edges, and I did end up making all 3 panels this way, just dependent upon, landscape or horizon, or I guess those are the same, depending on how the little houses were sitting. I did cut some more out of some of the pink pattern paper that was in the kit, and then just kind of line that up with my stamp, and then I'll just glue that down to the front of this card. And then I'll do that with all 3 of them. One of them just will be plain on there, but these 2 are going to have that little backing of the pink just to add a little bit of pop to it. My whole point was, in making these, we move a lot, really, every 2 to 3 years, and that means that all of the people around us, if we live on base, are typically moving that often too. So we got some new neighbors the other day, and I wanted to give them one of these little cards. And but what I'm stamping here on the front says, "Welcome to the neighborhood." I'm just stamping that on the very, very front, just finding a good place for it. It's perfect. It's the right size for these tiny little cards. And all I'm going to do on the back of it is I'm going to write my name and my phone number to hand to the neighbor, which is what we did yesterday. Believe it or not, we had a new neighbor come in last weekend, and so we gave them one of these cards. So now they have my name and number in case they need anything. So I just thought that was a fun little way, and like I said, I'll probably be making lots more of these. Card number 5 is actually 3 card fronts. We're going to take some of the pattern paper that was in this kit, and we're going to trim these down. I decided that since you see those 2 panels are basically the same, just different colors, we're going to trim those down and really jazz them up. Now you could leave these as they are, and you could just add them to card fronts and call it a day, and whoever received them would be very pleased to receive something like that. But we're going to step it up, and I'll even tell you how you can step it up even further if you'd like. So to start out, I'm going to take these little special delivery ones with the postage on the background, and we're going to add the little green and yellow ones to the front of them. I'm trying to measure what the inside piece is inside of that stamp because I'm going to try and cut that down. Now, you could go through your stash, look at your dies and see what would work, or you could fussy cut this somehow, just something fun like that, but I decided to just cut it down, and for me it was a labor of love. Not that it took that long, but I am just going back and forth and trimming off the same amount off of each side until we're going to fit inside of there, if that makes any sense. So, and then once I've got those trimmed down, and that one will have a little bit of a blue border around it, we're going to add some foam tape to the back of these. So this is how you can jazz it up. You take the other pieces, add it to with some foam tape. And so that's how that one will look. It'll be kind of fun to have that little popped up piece. And it's super simple. And, you know, you didn't do any stamping, but this took hardly any time at all. And then once that one's attached to that one, those two will basically be finished. I'll set those off to the side. And then you'll see that I've got these two panels that are similar but just different colors. So I'm going to trim out all those stamps the same way I did, just the little square or rectangle pieces of it. I decided not to have the little birds holding the envelope. Instead, I'm going to put this sentiment in there that says Home Sweet Home. And these could be used in the same respect as the one I did earlier, or the little cards that I did earlier. You could hand these to a neighbor with your name and number or a little note or whatever. That would be kind of fun. Just heat embossing some white embossing powder over the top. And then I'll trim that down and put some foam tape behind all of those little pieces. Because again, we're going to step it up by sticking these, or, you know, popping these up with some dimension. And so I'll just cover up the pieces that, you know, just using different colors. And then, yeah, we'll just do that for all the pieces. That foam tape back was giving me a time. But when I do have that issue, I use a craft pick. This is the retractable craft pick by Tonic or Tim Holtz. And then just stick all those pieces down. We'll do the same thing with the sentiment that we did. And this one will have a little blue border around it, so it'll pop even more. I just made it a little bit smaller. And then that's going to finish that one. But you could step it up even further by taking like some embellishments like maybe Nouveau Ebony drops, and you could put those over the center of the flowers. And there you go. So let's go ahead and take a look at all the cards that I made for you today. I would love to know which one was your favorite. If you did in fact have a favorite, I know these are fairly simple cards, but I love doing those sometimes. That is just very therapeutic, super fun, and like I said, I would love to know which one you like. Leave that down in the comment section down below. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you for using the affiliate links and all that you do. It's very much appreciated, and I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.